a publisher, and one day my daughter Christina asked me to write a novel with her. Well, that day was long ago, and that little girl is now an adult. But our novels live on. The Truth Seekers Mystery Series highlights a homeschool family, the Murphy teens, in an action-adventure novel that is sure to entertain as well as teach creation truths. To get your copy, visit our website at truthseekersmysteryseries.com.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at mediaangels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is Felice Gerwitz, and today we are going to talk about the most wonderful time of the year. This is episode 454, and you can find today's show notes at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Well, you know, the most wonderful time of the year is not always what we think, right? It's not overloading or overdoing. It is rejoicing in what is the most important part of your life, and that is family and friends. In this podcast, we're going to drill down on how to make this season the best ever. Please visit my Media Angels website and you'll find deep discounts throughout the holiday season. And if you're listening to this after the holidays, be sure to subscribe to our email list at the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. There is a link that says subscribe, and you can find out what our updates are and also some of our partners who also advertise on our email list, which isn't as often as most lists. I try to keep mine just specifically for all of you. And if you are an email subscriber, you will also get whatever our new monthly bonus is for free. So be sure to get those updates at the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. When I think about the most wonderful time of the year, I start thinking about the song, and are you singing the refrain with me? Well, I'm not going to sing for you on air. Aren't you happy? But I also want you to be thinking about what is your number one concern for this year. I always try to put things in perspective, and I want to, give you not the issues or the problems, but the solutions of things that will help you, and to help you put things in perspective, as well as to give you permission to not overstress the holidays. I had to make so many changes as a young mom because I am overly ambitious. And if you have followed the network or some of my writing for a while, you know that I have done that in podcasting. I have another podcast that I am pretty faithful to recording, and that is A Few Minutes with God podcast. But it is still something that I've had to do, is look at my life and say, okay, what stresses me out and what do I need to cut back on? So even if you're listening to this podcast the week before Thanksgiving or a week before Christmas or whatever holiday that is, it doesn't matter, because I pray that you'll learn some things that, you can use and implement in the future, as well as hopefully, if you're listening to this early enough, implement this coming year. I pray that the show helps you to see that life is too short to stress the stuff that really isn't important in the long run. And if you're a longtime listener, you'll know that, I think I shared on one podcast that, I couldn't believe anyone would make anything that wasn't from scratch. And one year I actually bought already made mashed potatoes that were organic and already done for you, and all I had to do was heat them up. And my kids were teasing me about it, and they said, "Oh, I can't believe Mom did this," because I always stressed, every once in a while they'd sneak in store-bought cookies, and I always call them contraband. If you want cookies, let me know and I'll bake them for you. But I learned that I needed to take a step back and really look at my life. What was important was spending time with my family and not overdoing it, because I knew about DIY before it was even a thing. And I could take those scraps like toilet paper and paper towel rolls and make all kinds of craft ideas and decorations for our table. And of course, the kids were helping. And then we would check off art on our homeschool list. So I was pretty much over the top every holiday, no matter what. And the most wonderful time of the year was filled with expectations, and many times I could not fulfill my own expectations. So the best advice I can give you is not to get rid of all of your holiday expectations, but to temper them with realism. Especially if you have little kids. I spoke to a mom who had 3 kids under 5, and I told her, I said, now is not the time for the linen tablecloths and the matching napkins and your, beautiful napkin rings that you've made yourself out of shower curtains and so forth. Right now is the time to reset your expectations, and that has currently helped me tremendously, and I hope it helps you as well. During the holidays, there can be a family crisis or an illness or something like that, and it's very difficult to be jolly and want to participate in all the holiday festivities. So at times like this, we lean on our other family members or friends, and we look for the joy that comes from our faith and those that we love, and we can surround ourselves with that as an important reminder. As I share this with you, I've been to several funerals in the last few months, friends of mine that were my age or younger, and my sister-in-law who just went through a horrific medical treatment that's been, she's been waiting for the past 2 years. And I look at things and say, I have to put things in perspective because, as I shared earlier, life is too short. And trying to do everything yourself can be exhausting and terribly frustrating at times. But if we can keep things in perspective, you can have that wonderful time of the year with decorations and food and so much more that will not break the bank. I am a great believer in having the kids help where there are age-appropriate activities, and the kids love to feel needed and wanted. So what is the most wonderful time of the year? First things first, what is really important to you this holiday season? So is it spending time with family and friends, or entertaining, holiday traditions, getting rid of stress, making memories? Probably all of the above, right? Always remember the reason for the season. Most of us celebrate Thanksgiving because it's a day on the calendar, but taking a few minutes to talk about it with your children of all ages allows us to put things in perspective. And while it's nice to remember the past, my family's focus currently is how to create memories and focus on how we are thankful for our faith and family and the blessings we have in our lives. Sure, some years we've had to dig deeper to find a reason to be thankful, but that too is a learning moment and something we share with our children. The same with Christmas. When we get caught up in the trappings of putting up 2 or 3 trees or buying gifts that cause us to go into debt, are we really focused on the real reason? Celebrating the birth of our Savior and rejoicing in the hope and joy that brings? So we can celebrate with our extended family and sometimes even friends, but as we look to our life, look for balance, and that is important. In fact, that is a key word that I have had to learn, especially as I tend to be a workaholic. And truthfully, as I've gotten older and I'm on podcasts, what is this one, 454, I've learned that I can't go full tilt, and that's why you'll see that I have some replays in between my new episodes, and this one is a newer episode. And so I have had to learn to give myself some balance and give myself some time off. And I know as a busy homeschool mom, you don't have that opportunity at this point. So look at the days leading up and figure out, what that means to you as far as the things that you really want to do. For example, for Christmas, I was really a big believer in celebrating Advent. So we purchased an Advent wreath and we had prayers each night leading up to Christmas Day. That was very important to me, and it became a family tradition. So look at this question and really think and pray about it. What makes this time of the year wonderful for you? Is it the feeling of love and joy that you can share with your family and friends? I think if I had to select one word, I would say love. There's love in making and baking of foods and creating decorations where people can come over and feel that, it looks like a home and it looks like a celebration. Here in Florida, we don't have the fall leaves. We get them in January. And so I put up decorations for fall, and usually I do that in September. And, what is, again, important to you? We give ourselves things that we want to do, and sometimes it's overwhelming. And sometimes it's really fun. So I have loaves of homemade pumpkin bread already in the freezer that I can give, to my children or, my neighbor or things like that. And, I enjoy doing things like that, but we have to give ourselves some space. Many times we put, a lot of thought into what we want to give our children, for the holidays. And there are so many things that we can give that are not overly expensive. And the best thing you can give your family is time. And then there are what I call the smells of the season. When we begin to bake and cook, and especially the smell of pine cones or pine needles or cinnamon and cloves, all of these things evoke memories, and hopefully they are good. And if not, make new memories and create great memories with your own family. We live in a world that, I don't need to tell you, puts an emphasis on the material things that we can buy. Yet our focus should be on the things that money cannot buy. During a time of financial difficulty, I used to look at the sky and say to the Lord, thank you for the beauty of your creation and for all the things I enjoy each and every day that are free of cost or cost nothing. And that year we were inspired as a family to make many gifts and give each other gifts that were very inexpensive. And those are the gifts that I still treasure and have kept throughout the years. The kids painted shells that they found on the beach, and larger ones were glossed over, and I could use them, to put things from my desk, paper clips and things like that. And I'm telling you, those crafts lasted longer than many of the store-bought gifts. I'll be recording a podcast later on holiday road trips and Christmas traditions that you can celebrate with your family for less than $10. So be sure to catch those upcoming on Vintage Homeschool Moms podcast. These are wonderful reminders that the most wonderful time of the year should focus on the love we have for each other. So let me take a minute and talk about love. If you're in a strained relationship in your home, take the time and sit with your spouse and children and figure out some solutions to the problem. I'm going to tell you that 99% of the solutions start with humility, saying that you're sorry, or will you forgive me? That goes a very long way in mending fences. Talk honestly about working as a family during the holiday season, or give the gift of generosity and love to each other just by being present. If you missed my calendar planners on the topic, you can find them at the Media Angels website. But if you are a subscriber to this email list, you will get a free character planner each month. The most wonderful time of the year means different things to different people. This Thanksgiving, I will hand out brown, orange, and yellow strips of paper to each person and ask them to write not what they are thankful for, but what makes this the most wonderful time of the year. And then we'll read them out loud as a family. They don't need to sign them unless they want to. The idea is to think of this time of the year as a new beginning and a new start, not a marathon to just get Thanksgiving or Christmas over with, or even Easter if you're at that point of the year. Is there something that bothers you or that you detest doing? Take it off the list. If you're not in the best frame of mind for entertaining, and it's your turn to host the family, get on your knees and pray that the Lord blesses you and keeps you focused on Him. If we do something for someone and we're not thanked, then we can remember that the Lord was not thanked for His sacrifice either. Friends, I get it. I know. If you're a parent, it's the most rewarding and the most thankless job there is. However, we do it because I said earlier of that one word, love. I pray that the Lord blesses you and your family this holiday season and brings you the real joy that makes this the most wonderful time of the year. But truthfully, if you haven't spent time to understand what that is for you and your family, it's going to be a hard thing to achieve. So again, I pray that this is a wonderful time of the year, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care, God bless, and have a wonderful holiday. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and TheVintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.